For today's review I have two scooters, both from Kingsong, Kingsong N14 and Kingsong N12 Pro. If you ever ridden or were interested in electric unicycles, you must have heard the name Kingsong. They are really big players down there. And the very first real-life benefit of it that they have in-house production or at least creation of controllers, BMSs and so on. So they actually have an app that works. It connected every single time to both of the electrical scooters, and you can adjust variety of the parameters there, even screen record while using the app, adjust your speed limits and whatnot. It also has the charts where you can see how much power you were consuming, how many amps, volts, and so on and so forth. Not all the functions are unlocked. So for example, you cannot unlock your maximum speed on the N14 with the software, and you will have to use the hardware unlock. My N12 Pro came with fully unlocked speed and N14 with the speed lock, and I couldn't go further than 20 kilometers per hour. Let's talk about the speed. If you got N14 and you want to unlock the maximum speed, you will have to disconnect this red little connector here. Then your scooter will be able to ride at the full speed mode. A quick check. Oh yeah, baby. Now we're talking. As you can see, N14 reaches 36 kilometers per hour, while the N12 Pro does 52 kilometers per hour. If you look at these electrical scooters, one thing you will notice immediately that all the handlebars are absolutely the same. So everything starting at the folding mechanism and up is exactly the same for both of them. They also have even the same headlight, which is unbelievably bright at night. The only difference is that on N12 Pro is hanging up there, and N14 Max has it on the lower part of the scooter. You might also notice that the suspension looks really similar, and it also has very similar travel, which is around 1.5 centimeters on the N12 Pro and around 1 centimeter on N14. Let's start with the N12 Pro. I have to say that I'm not super impressed with the suspension. Okay, so I made the suspension softer. I bottomed it out. The rear one is kind of okay. It's adjustable. You can adjust it to your needs. You can actually really stiffen it up or loosen it up depending on your body weight. But the front one, a travel of like 1.5 centimeter does not really provide you comfort when you're riding on a really rough terrain. So your handlebars are shaky when you ride a cobblestone. It is still better than no suspension. You can ride even on some trails and have some fun. But unfortunately, it's not the most pleasant suspension that I have ever tried. N14 looks better for a smaller rider, not only because it has even less front suspension travel, but also because when a 90 kilogram rider steps on it, it's already kind of sagging downwards. And differently to the N12 Pro, you have double rear springs which are not adjustable. And despite of that, I found N14 suspension being somehow more comfortable, not to mention that it's quieter than the N12 Pro. I think it's quite smart. To fold the scooter, you just have to press the little button on the side, and then it opens up like this. It still holds, it still doesn't fold, so you have to push the handle further, and then the scooter simply collapses. And then there is this very smart catcher that catches the latch, and when you want to open it, you just press on it and it opens. So that's like really well made. One more distinct feature is the turn indicators, which are mounted on the handlebars, and as you can hear, they also beep when you actually use, so you don't forget to turn them off, which is nice. The only not nice thing that my indicator lasted literally 5 minutes since I got the scooter, because if your scooter falls and drops, say goodbye to the indicator. Both scooters also have 10-inch inflatable tires, front drum brake and rear disc brakes. Right, so front brake, you can't lock it, I think, so if I hit it full strength, it doesn't block the front wheel, which is nice to avoid stupid user mistakes, which the best of us can do. Overall, the brake performance is pretty good, and the scooter stops in a reasonable time. It's lighter and it's slower. It has the same brakes. So effectively the key differences between the scooters are only how big are the battery packs and also how powerful are the motors. Alright, so my scooter now shows 1% and there is a red light blinking, and we at 22 kilometers and I started at 5, meaning we've done 17 kilometers. But I learned a bit later that you can actually ride even with the 0% showing on the scooter for another 2 or 3 kilometers. So the overall range is around 20 kilometers from the N14, which is expected from 10 amp hour battery pack. Alright, so we've done 29 kilometers and the scooter now is losing speed. The last 3 or 4 kilometers we done with basically showing 0% battery left. Still going 20 kilometers per hour, a bit more, but I will end the range test here and I will state that the scooter can reach around 30 kilometers with a 90 kilogram rider going full speed, full throttle all the time. In this acceleration test you kind of see what are those scooters all about. So N12 Pro is super fast off the line. It has very responsive throttle. Whenever you hit the throttle, even if you're riding 30 kilometers per hour and you press throttle to the max, you will feel how it pulls. It has a really good torque, so it's the torquiest single motor scooter I have ever tried. N12 Pro has rated power of 1 kilowatt and maximum 1.4, and to beat it in acceleration I had to use a 2 kilowatt single motor scooter. Anything below 2 kilowatts couldn't stay up with N12 starting off the line. So the acceleration and the torque is really good on the N12 Pro. That responsiveness just makes the riding very different compared to the N14, which rides like a regular scooter where you press the throttle, there is some sort of lag, then it slowly gets up to speed. There is a very long lag from when you hit the brakes until when you hit back the accelerator until it actually starts going. So if I'm riding now, I'm going to turn, I hit brakes, now I want to start accelerating, only now it starts getting up to speed. Let's check how that compares to N12 Pro. Alright, this scooter doesn't suffer from the same problem as the N14. So if I brake and hit the throttle, it will accelerate immediately. So there is no lag as on the N14, which is it just feels right. N12 Pro is a really fun scooter to ride because of all that torque. Look, it has all that torque. And of course climbing the hills is no different either.
1, 2, 4, 7.
We're gonna do a little climb test. Check it out. I can probably stop here and start. Let's do the N14. I'll also stop on the hill right here. I'm not sure I can start from here. Let's see. Nope. Error 1. Right. That's the difference in an essence between these two electrical scooters. Generally the build quality is really good because the materials that the manufacturer has chosen are top quality. So all the plastics, rubbers, metals, alloys are really good. The rubbers that cover the decks are non-slip and well glued on, and so on. However, there are little tiny details, like for example this sticker, which is not completely sticking to it, and some remainings of glues and sealants or drip of oil that you can see under the deck, which kind of makes me doubt if this is top 5-star quality. Not to mention that the N12 Pro has this frontal part which looks like it's unfinished, I don't know, not prepared for painting, and even scratched, so there is definitely some space for improvement on the tiniest details. I also think something needs to be done to better protect the turn light indicators if your scooter falls. And finally, I didn't like that N14 came with non-adjusted brakes, so it was making that like weird noise. Furthermore, the throttle handle was not fixed on the handlebars. And then on N12 Pro, there is also very weird sound. There is this sound. And it only comes when I'm standing on the scooter. So while none of these details are, deal breakers, I still wouldn't rate it as a top build quality, especially knowing the price of these electrical scooters. Super similar fender design, and they are bulky, huge and going really low, which has a really good protection from spraying on your pants when you ride them in bad weather. As well, very similarly with the rear fenders, you can see how bulky they are, and the front side of the fender completely covers everything, so it will not get sprayed, and it has these huge sides right here which protects you from being sprayed with mud and water really well. Notice that while the steering bar is probably the same length, the deck is lower, so overall stand-up height is bigger on the N14 than on the N12 Pro. So smaller scooter is more comfortable for the taller rider, and the larger scooter is more comfortable for the shorter rider. Next thing I would like to mention is that the scooters are unbelievably stable, and especially the N14 because it's so low to the ground. I mean, look how stable these scooters are. It's absolutely gorgeous.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0.
Now let's take a look at the things I really didn't like about the scooter, like the ones you see right now that I mentioned in the build quality section. There is some sealants and glue and oil leaking and things like that, but these are minor cosmetical things that don't make or break the deal for me. What I really didn't like was the, glitches in the firmware when riding the electrical scooter. What was that? I just got it braking. I did not like that at all. Let's take another look in slow motion. So right now I'm accelerating, then I'm releasing the throttle, and when I hit the throttle back again, the scooter as of a sudden brakes. As you can see, my hands are nowhere next to the brake handles, so that is dangerous. If that happens on the corner, it's super easy to have a crash at 40 kilometers per hour, which I would not like to have. Well, we are noticeably slowing down now, and we only done 21 kilometers actually. Of course, blasting full throttle all the time. Continuing on the N12 Pro, I also had some glitches with the power delivery where I was not able to accelerate to the full potential of the scooter. If you see right here on the dashboard, there are only 3 dots. Normally it goes to 5 or 6, the last one being red. This is when the scooter delivers the full power, which is simply not doing that at this moment. And I thought that it's because my battery went lower, but apparently that's not the case. I don't know what's happening. Now again it allows me to go more. Before that I couldn't accelerate. I was hitting full throttle and it wouldn't go past 28, 29. And look at this now, doing 40 and gaining more. My working theory is that it's overheating and it doesn't allow you to push more when the engine or the controller is too hot, because now it allows me to get full torque even though I'm only 11% of the battery. And on the left side of the dashboard now it shows the throttle is at full up to the red. And the kickstand, if you jump off the curbs, it does that. Unfortunately, I'm not the big fan of where can I stand on that deck. Even though that deck is huge, it's not very useful space on the sides of the deck here, and this part is a little bit too steep to be comfortably riding. And the same with the kicktail or the lack of a kicktail. There is a little kind of a kicktail thing you can use, which is super steep and tiny and narrow and not very comfortable. And so what happens is if you want to ride the scooter comfortably, you end up being really, really close to the handlebars, so you don't have this safety margin. When I ride my scooter on higher speeds, I would actually like to be standing right here, more towards the back part of the scooter, but I am kind of forced to stand either completely sideways like this. And as the scooter has great acceleration, when it accelerates, I really don't have, support to keep my weight balanced. So I end up pulling on the handlebars, which is neither safe nor fun. Even though it looks that N12 Pro has a larger deck, there is actually more usable deck space on the N14. In my opinion, N14 has less things going on wrong, but this is the most annoying one. I feel very, very stable. And the kickstand. So this is fully folded kickstand. When you corner your scooter, you will be touching ground with that kickstand. And I experienced that multiple times. So it's actually risky because it makes you get stuck and slip as your rear wheel comes up in the air, which is now a nice thing to have. Also, when you go up the curbs, it's super easy to hit the curb with that kickstand, especially when you're standing on that suspension. So this is probably the biggest downside, not to mention that it's also not very reliable. It's really the angle. The problem is that it's not very stable when the kickstand is at the back. Even if I put it at this angle, right, it will right itself. And if I put this scooter to that angle, it will fall.
5, 7, 1, 2, 3.
Right, so time for the final ratings, and we start with the N14. N14 will get 3 stars for the comfort because the scooter has okay-ish suspension, not magical, but okay. It has really comfortable grip handles and there is large enough deck. It also rides very low to the ground, so you feel always safe and in a way comfortable. I cannot give more stars because it doesn't have the kick tail and because the suspension is not the best in the world either. For the riding range, the scooter only does around 17 to 20 kilometers, which in my book is 2 stars. N14 deserves 4 stars for the quality because the materials are actually high quality. It doesn't rattle, it rides really quietly, but during unboxing it had some parts which were not fixed enough, the brakes were not adjusted, and that's why it cannot get the full 5 stars for the quality. The N14 has mediocre acceleration, and furthermore it has this lag. When you hit the brakes and then you want to accelerate, it takes few seconds for the scooter to actually start moving, so I cannot rate acceleration any higher than this. Speed-wise, we reached 36-37 kilometers per hour measured by GPS, so we are really close to the 4-star rating, but unfortunately only 3 stars for speed. There is nothing really special in an area of fun for the N14. Everything is around average, so it doesn't really provide any great fun. Lack of acceleration, maybe higher speed could provide some higher rating, but more or less it's very mediocre result for fun. On the day of recording, this scooter retails for 670 euros, which is a really steep price for such a low range and quite a mediocre acceleration and suspension scooter, so that leaves us with only 2 stars. And now we quickly jump to the N12 Pro. For the comfort, it will actually get less. It will get 2 stars because the deck is not comfortable and the scooter is accelerating really fast, so you need that kick tail. It's needed and it's not existent. The deck looks massive, but a lot of space is taken by the rear suspension and the rear wheel, so there is not that much space to stand on. Therefore, the comfort will get only 2 stars in my book. Riding range was around 30 kilometers, 3 stars. The build quality, I would give it 4 stars, but I cannot because of the firmware glitches, unexpected braking, limited acceleration for the reasons which I cannot understand why is that happening, running oils, splashed glue and sealant. It doesn't pull for the 4 stars for the building quality. It will be the very first scooter with a single motor that I will give 4 stars for acceleration, and I'm being a little bit unfair to myself because I actually tried scooter that does drag racing faster than this one, but there is something about that torque. When you hit that throttle, even when you ride at 30 kilometers per hour, you feel the torque and power in the scooter. The acceleration feels really well, therefore I will give 4 stars for N12 Pro acceleration. Maximum speed we reached above 50 kilometers per hour, which I will give 4 stars. Fun categories based on vibes and that acceleration and that torque.
Dude, that torque and acceleration from a single motor, it's like, I don't know what are they making these motors of.
My goodness, it's really fun to go out on this scooter and have this feeling of excessive power whenever you need it, even if it's a single motor scooter. It feels fun for me. I will give 4 stars for this scooter. This scooter is even more expensive. It's 1,100 euros. The scooter only does 30 kilometers and it doesn't have a really great suspension and it's not very comfortable to ride on, and therefore the scooter will only get 2 stars for value for money.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I agreed with manufacturers of the Kingsong scooters that I will write a detailed email to them of all my feedback towards their products, and I did it. I sent the email and I got some feedback towards my reflections. Well, first of all, they claim that comparing N14 and N12 Pro is not like exactly right thing to do because the scooters are in such a different, price range and overall category that puts N14 into a sort of, bad light. And I agree to that. I'm comparing almost scooters that differ almost twice in the price. But at the same time, where I provide my ratings, I provide these ratings comparing with what's available on the market. The manufacturer also agreed that N14 is probably not that great for heavier riders. And when I put all of my winter gear on and backpack with my camera gear, I'm like 100 kilos. So the scooter is sagging and therefore the kickstand becomes really low, and therefore even the acceleration or hill climb is not as good as it could be if a scooter is ridden by someone who is 60 kilos or lighter. The other point they addressed is that I do range tests with full throttle all the time, and therefore I will never get the same distance as the manufacturers claim. And well, that's not new for me, but that's how I ride my electrical scooters. If I got a scooter, I go to the max, right? If I don't want to go as fast, then I get cheaper and scooter that gets slower. So I think we are aligned on that with the manufacturer. And one more super important thing that the manufacturer has answered is about this power loss or torque loss that happens on N12 Pro sometimes. They confirm that that's actually happening because of overheating. Apparently we are sending quite a lot of amps through the controller and the motor, and when one of those is overheating, the scooter is a bit slowing down until it cools down, and then you get to full power again. That acceleration though. They also mentioned that they will consider all the other improvement points in their future manufacturing of electrical scooters, so looking forward to hear from them again. Well, because I do agree that comparing N14 to N12 Max, it's not really fair comparison as the scooters are in such a different categories, I will think where can I find a lighter than 60 kilogram rider and film a separate review of N14 when I finish with my other projects that are ongoing right now. So you can look forwards do another follow-up on the N14 with the lighter rider on Virminde YouTube channel.
I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope to see you in the next one. Cheers!